Okay, welcome back. So now we move on to Stata Part 2. We are going to analyze the needs data, National Income Dynamic Study. And this is the first time you as honor students are using the needs data set. This is why I'm going to do the questions a bit slowly, and I would give you some background information on the needs. Before we start, so I assume you download all the folders from the Bootcamp Dropbox folder. So now can you copy all the files from folder number 6? And then paste C drive, data, and then paste. Okay, and then you can actually type National Income Dynamics Study on Google, then you would see the official needs website. You can see UCT in the link. So in other words, UCT, actually it is a research unit at UCT called SALDRU, S-A-L-D-R-U, Southern African Labor and Development Research Unit. They are in charge of the needs data in terms of sampling design, questionnaire design, and data collection, data analysis. Okay, so maybe we can visit the website briefly. Okay, so when you have time, you can go through the information from the needs website, and then at the time of doing this video, there have been 5 waves of needs data being available. So actually the needs take place every 2 years. So the wave 1 data we are going to use today, it took place in 2008, and then wave 2 taking place in 2010 and so forth. And then needs is actually the first national panel data. Okay, panel data means the same people are interviewed over a period of time again and again, so that we can keep track of the changes, if any, of their income and non-income welfare over time. But strictly speaking, very, very strictly speaking, it is actually impossible to make sure we can interview the same people again and again, because there could be some unforeseen circumstances, such as death. What if we have someone who was still alive and then took part in the first 2 waves, and then just before wave 3, the person unfortunately passed away? So if that happens, then SALDRU would have no alternative, but the SALDRU team has to interview a new person or new household to replace the deceased participants. And similarly, another possible reason would be migration. Let's say I took part in the first 3 waves of needs, staying at Western Cape, and then all of a sudden I relocated to Eastern Cape, or maybe I left the country and I never informed SALDRU. Then the SALDRU interview team couldn't get hold of me, then they would lose me as a participant. So the outcome again would be the SALDRU team would have to interview a new household to replace me, who is the mysterious person who disappeared. Okay, and then we can go to the questionnaire. Okay, so there are 4 questionnaire. So let's start with the household questionnaire. Okay, and strictly speaking, session B, household roster, it is this session, strictly speaking, it provides you person level information, because everyone can answer the questions in session B, everyone in the household. So in other words, as expected, questions on gender, birthday, age, education, marital status, relationship with the household head. Okay, so keep in mind, session B of the household questionnaire can be answered by all members in the household. And actually from session C onwards, only the household head could answer these questions. Questions on mortality, non-income welfare, so questions on dwelling type, okay, water, electricity, refuse removal, okay, on the services, and then questions on expenditure, on food spending and non-food spending, okay. But the questions are not as, questions on expenditure are not as thorough as IES, which we used yesterday. Okay, and then there's a section on ownership of assets, cell phone, laptop, motor vehicle, and so forth. I've been saying again and again, the radio questions should be out from now on. Actually, it is already an outdated question. Okay, questions on negative event, which is quite interesting. I don't think it is asked in the Stats SA survey. Okay, so when you have time, you can go through the whole household questionnaire. Then we have the child questionnaire. Okay, so only kids aged 0 to 14 years old are allowed to take part in the child questionnaire. I don't believe someone who is 1 year old could provide answers to the sell-through team, so most likely the parents would answer the questions on behalf of the very young kids. Okay, so when you have time, you can go through the child questionnaire. And then the next one is the adult questionnaire. So only those aged 15 or above can take part in the adult questionnaire. Again, it's pretty long actually, more than 30 pages. So there must be a session on labor market activities so that eventually sell-through can derive the person's labor market status. Okay, a detailed session on health, education, emotional health, and so forth. And then the last one is called the proxy questionnaire. So what does it mean? So it actually means, let's say I've got a household with 5 members, and then when the sell-through team came to the household and interviewed the household members, only 4 out of 5 members were present. So maybe 2 are children, then 2 took part in the child questionnaire. The other 2 present members, they are adults, so they took part in the adult questionnaire. But the 5th member, let's say it is me. On the day of the interview, I went out shopping for groceries, okay? But it would be sad if sell-through team would miss out on me, okay? Because it is important for me to be present as part of the final sample. So what sell-through would do is they would conduct this proxy questionnaire. So any one of the 4 members, hopefully they know me very well, so they would answer this proxy questionnaire and then they provide information about me. Okay, on my behalf, maybe on my education, health, labor market participation. Okay, so keep in mind, proxy questionnaire means any one of the present member answer questions on behalf of the absent member who is really part of the household. So in other words, for these 3 questionnaires, child, adult, proxy, any member of the household, they could not answer all 3 questionnaires. In fact, they can only answer either one of the 3 questionnaires. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, and then I think we can look at the actual data set. Okay, there are actually 7 starter files. You might feel a bit puzzled. There are 4 questionnaires. How come there are 7 starter files? And I'm going to explain now. The first one is household roster. Remember, strictly speaking, I mentioned earlier, this is session B of the household questionnaire, and strictly speaking, it is a person level data set. Remember, I said like twice earlier, for session B of the household questionnaire, everyone can answer the questions. By the way, let's look at how sell-through named the variables. Do you see W1? Then it means the information was captured at wave 1. R, so this is the key letter, so it gives you hints that these variables come from the household roster. And then you see the description, B1, B3, B4, and so forth. So it means the questions come from session B of the household questionnaire. And then I want to talk about household ID and person ID. So just like the Stats SA dataset, people from the same households, they are allocated the same unique household number. And then the person ID, this is the big difference between the Stats SA survey data and the needs data. So remember, for the Stats SA data sets we analyzed in the last 2 days, the person numbers would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. And then usually the household head would be assigned a person number of 1. But then for the needs data set, it is a bit different. Every single participant is given a unique person ID. So for example, the first person in this household number 101013, this is his unique person number. Okay, only he is assigned this unique person number 314544, and no one else would be given this unique person number. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so this is the household roster file. The next one is household information file. So remember I said earlier, from session C onwards, only the household heads could answer the questions. And then again, you see the household ID. So in other words, since only the household head could answer the question, you would only see each unique household ID appear once. Okay. and then look at the way the variables are named, again starting with W1, then you see the letter H. So it gives you a hint that these are the variables coming from the household questionnaire. Okay, next one. Household derived. Okay, so we have to thank the sales route team. They derive certain household level variables on our behalf. So for example, household expenditure. So in other words, the sales route team add up the expenditure on different categories, food spending, non-food spending, and so forth, before they derive household expenditure. And a similar explanation apply for this variable, household income. Okay, so the income from different sources, labor market activities, self-employment activities, remittances, interest earned, lotto winnings, and so forth. All these income amounts are added by the sales routine before they derive the household income. And then some geographical variables. Okay, this is the weight variable we are going to use, WGT. And the interesting thing is that this weight variable can be used both as a person file, person weight and household weight. Okay. Then we move on to the child starter file. So you see the key letter C. Okay, and again you see the description. So again you know, oh, these are the variables from section A of the child questionnaire coming from wave 1. Or these are the variables coming from section C of the child questionnaire from wave 1 needs. Okay, so this is the child file. We would hardly analyze the child data actually, unless you want to pursue topics on the welfare of the kids. Okay, and then the adult file. So you see the letter A. Okay, you would always see household ID and person ID feature. Proxy. Okay, you see the letter P. That gives you a hint that, oh, these are the variables coming from the proxy questionnaire. And then the last one, individual derived file. Again, it is a bit similar to the household derived file. So sales routine derives certain variables on our behalf, but this time at person level. Okay, so maybe the gender, race, and so forth, and the monthly income from different sources like UIF, 13th check, self-employment, working for someone else. Okay, and this is the important one. We really must thank the sales routine. Labor market status. We definitely need information on the labor market status. Okay, and then we can actually do the first question. Before that, I need to explain the difference between append and merge. Okay, so okay, remember we did the merge combine in the last 2 days, okay, merging 2 different files together, but now today we will still do some questions that would merge the different files together, but I want to explain what append means. Append means you want to add more observations, okay, to a starter file. So this is the explanation. Maybe file A, you have 3 variables on the first 3 people, and then in file B, you also have information on the 3 variables, but on 3 different people with ID number 4, 5, and 6. So after append, you are going to get something like that. So you have the information on all 6 people, 3 from the first file and 3 from the second file. So this is what append means. Okay, and then what we are going to do now is to append the adult file, child file, and proxy file together. And then we would add up, and then the total sample size at person level will be 28226. And keep in mind, I mentioned earlier, if someone took part in the adult questionnaire, he would not take part in the child questionnaire or proxy questionnaire. So for the append, it would look something like that. File A, adult file, information on the 3 variables, 3 adults, A, 1, 2, and 3, and then the child file, information on 3 variables, 4, 5, and 6, and then 4, 5, and 6 ID they are kids.